get to be on cocaine to be on this podcast? Cocaine. Cocaine, really?
It's a vibe right now. We're vibing.
Cocaine. Cocaine, really?
What is up, everybody? You're listening to yet another edition of Cocaine Willie, the official K-State representative on the College Huddle. I am your commissioner, Bob Trollsby, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, the good chef, Andre Napier, as Fireball Matt Marchesini is somewhere across the pond in an undisclosed location. If you listen to the last pod, maybe you'll get a hint. Tonight, we are joined by the one and only, the legendary Joe Tillery of YouTube, Twitter, K-State lore fame. I mean, Joe, you're a legend. We all love you. This is what, their third time on the show, I think? Third time?
I think so. Joe Kane Willie 3 has been stockpiling up here. We got episode 3 going, I think. Maybe 4. One of the two.
Absolutely. And we're going to have you join us for our locks, our fantasy picks. We're going to talk a little West Virginia. We're going to talk primarily about KU when we're not doing our locks and fantasy picks. But first, before we get into the episode, this beer crack is brought to you by Annie Mae's Parlor, located at 616 North 12th Street in the heart of Aggieville in Manhattan, Kansas. Annie Mae's has been in business for 50 years, as you can see from the koozie in front of me, and is an absolute must-visit destination in Aggieville on game days and school nights alike. Annie Mae's is far and away my favorite destination in Aggieville, and I always make a point to go visit my auntie every time I come back to the Little Apple. They feature a wide variety of craft cocktails, draft beers, and everything in between, along with entertainment like live music, comedy, and all sorts of other events. And let's just go back to our list of events that they have coming up. So we've already plugged a couple things. As you're listening to this episode's dropping on Thursday, October 24th. Tonight, they will be hosting Horrible Movie Night featuring the movie Slugs. I've never seen the movie Slugs, but they are featuring the movie Slugs. But it is a horrible movie night for a reason. Check out the IMDb page for Slugs, apparently. Friday, October 25th, so tomorrow night, for the Aggieville Homecoming Parade, they are doing an Aggieville Trick or Treat, and Annie Mae's always has the best candy selection. So a heads up for those of you with kids who are going to be doing trick or treating in Aggieville prior to Homecoming Parade. Be sure to stop by your auntie. Maybe grab a beer while you're there. Who knows? Maybe a craft cocktail, whatever you want to do. And then on Thursday, October 31st, we have another Denver rock band, the FNGs, are also performing on Thursday, October 31st. So next week. But I have never heard of another Denver rock band, and I have been in a number of Denver rock bands, but you should still check them out again next week at Annie Mae's. But check out their website, www.anniemays.com, for a full list of their upcoming events. And they are located at 616 North 12th Street in the heart of Aggieville. Be sure to tell them Cocaine Willie sent you. Additionally, we are brought to you by Pat's Beef Jerky, located at 401 Main Street in Liebenthal, Kansas. Pat's has been serving up the finest beef jerky in the Midwest for 34 years strong. And they feature mouth-watering flavors like the classic beef jerky, the teriyaki beef jerky, and my personal favorite, the savory beef pepper sticks. There are 3 places where you can get yourself some Pat's Beef Jerky. You can either pick it up in person at the Fridge Liquor Store in Manhattan or at their original store at 401 Main Street in Liebenthal, Kansas. And last but not least, you can get your Pat's Beef Jerky online at www.patsbeefjerky.com. And you can order online using the promo code CATS at checkout. It'll get you 10% off of your next order. They've shipped to all 50 of the great United States, so you've got nothing to lose here other than a couple dollars that you're going to get return on investment for with amazing beef jerky. So go to www.patsbeefjerky.com to place your order today. And use the promo code CATS for 10% off of your checkout. Guys, I want to chat real quick. West Virginia game. Just get 3 takeaways. What are your 3 takeaways from the West Virginia game? I'll start with Joe first, since you are our guest tonight. We want to hear your opinion first. I'll let Chef talk later. He talks enough.
Thank you. You want all 3, or you want me to go 1-1-1 here?
Let's go all 3.
Sweet. Sweet. That'll help because I feel like Chef's gonna steal 2 of my 3 ideas here. So if I go first, I'll set the bar low enough. But first off, shout out to Annie Mays. Know my Annie well. Always great. Went through on, I think it was a bingo night or something going on, or is it trivia night? I think it was a trivia night I went through. So shout out to Annie Mays, always having great stuff over there. Quick things on West Virginia. Now, I know the narrative that has gone both ways for this, whether it's Avery's incredible, he can throw the football everywhere, is so good. It's also the inverse of West Virginia's secondary is trash, fire Neil Brown, et cetera, et cetera. Every time I think about this game or the past couple games, Avery Johnson's had an elite stretch the last 2 or 3 games. The thing that I keep coming back to, every single week, and I'll look at West Virginia as a microcosm here, this continues to wake up college football as a whole. Avery Johnson does, every single time he performs. Think about the overcorrection from the Colorado game versus the West Virginia game. It was clear and apparent that DJ Giddens has been your identity all season long. And if you're a defensive coordinator, it doesn't matter if you're at UTEP or if you're at Kansas or West Virginia, wherever you're at. You look at the game film and you say, if we stop the running game, force Johnson to throw, maybe we have a shot. Last week proved you couldn't do that. You could shut down the run game. It wasn't going to help you win the football game. And I don't know the correct defensive game plan right now to say, how do you stop Kansas State's offense? And that is such a blessing. Every time Avery Johnson does what he did against West Virginia, that narrative changes. So you look at the Kansas game, whoever Kansas' defensive coordinator is right now, cannot name him. Respect to the dude, I apologize. But he's out there doing his thing, sure. Shout out to that guy. The question I have is, how does he look at the past 2 games and say, what's the best approach to stopping Kansas State? Because I feel like his guess is as good as mine at this point. I don't think you can sit back, load and nobody in the box, let everybody defend the pass, even though they have an incredible secondary. I don't think they're going to have the guys to shut down the run game either. So it's just a toss-up at that. So that was such a great thing for film study, the inverse way you would think it would as a defensive coordinator. So the first thing is Avery's passing game is waking up college football and the rest of the league. The second thing I go back to, this one might be a little bit more of a mini rant, fair warning in advance. There's been the growing concern, and I'm not the only one that's had the inverse of this, but everybody just absolutely has to cut Connor Riley some damn slack. Give the man some damn slack. Okay, I'm reading stats from D. Scott Fritchen and Cole Manbeck saying, hey, Kansas State's offense, this is on pace to be the best offense they've had since 1998. Why are we complaining? I get, hey, okay, they tried to run it, first couple times, the drives didn't work out. I get that. I also understand I have the best running back in the Big 12 behind me. I'd be an idiot not to try it. So that third drive, where Avery dotted up Jaden Jackson on the back-to-back plays, I had a buddy texting me being like, all right, get this guy out of town. I'm tired of it. Bring in Willie Korn from Liberty. Shout out to that guy. He does his thing. Great offensive game plan if you watch it. But I'm like, dude, this is the adjustment. You've tried your thing in the running game. It's clear West Virginia sold their soul to defend the run. Let's see what happens here. Avery dots him up back-to-back, huge touchdown. You see the adjustment and the correction. It's a first-year quarterback paired with a first-year play caller. I mean, he hasn't done this at, JV high school football. The guy's at first-year job for this spot. And they're one of the best offenses in the history of Kansas State through 7 weeks. Everybody has to lay off Connor Riley. I get it. You're passionate. If you're a passionate fan, you're pissed at Connor Riley. I get it. That's the way it goes. But that was one of my takeaways. I was like, dude, we are so lucky not to be on the inverse of this coin. I mean, KU's got Jeff Grimes, who, there's like a warrant out for his arrest on Twitter right now, basically. That's hyperbole, not actually. But it's just incredible to see where we're at as a program, that people are as upset as they are. We are still this good. You're 6-1. Everything's been sunshines and rainbows. We're figuring it out. And the third thing, and I'll try to keep this one a little bit shorter, but this is what my brain thought the entire time. Avery Johnson is so great for the national brand of Kansas State. Same thing with DJ Giddens. Same thing with Dylan Edwards. Same thing for all these superstar guys. We need to do what we're doing with alternate jerseys. Let the kids at home that are playing NCAA 25 not have to load in the same purple jerseys and white jerseys we always have. Give the dudes a lavender option. Give them a blackout option. Give them an all-white. Just give me the all-white helmet for all I care. We need some alternates to spice this thing up because you have a damn good football team and you have the players to do it. Let's get some swag to go with it, man. That is the first thing that my mind comes to. Why are we beating these dudes in, road whites with gray pants? Let's go all white. Beat them down, make them feel bad.
I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Avery Johnson's older brother and his dad, well, his older brother went to KU, fun fact. And his dad, they wear these alternate, I'm not even going to call them knockoff, but they wear these alternate jerseys to every game. They've got like a black one with lavender number on it. They've got a white one with a lavender number on it. It's got the Big 12 logo. The number doesn't quite look like what it would
It's
look
a
like on a
it's a
K-State
replica jersey for sure.
but it
Yeah.
looks. I mean, I could see it. I could see it. They could make it look better. We could make it look better.
Right.
For sure. Nike
And-
can make it look better. But
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. It's not like I think a lot of people immediately hit the panic button when you hear, us three guys talk about alternates and say they're going to give us lavender pants with lavender jerseys and white helmets, and this is all going to look bad. Give me the same. I mean, I'll just take the white pants, white helmet. Give me some lavender accents. Outline the Big 12 logo. Outline the numbers. It doesn't even have to be lavender. Give me a black streak down the side of the leg. It's got to be something just to switch things up a little bit. Is my theory.
It's basically because we're the Cowboys of the Big 12. We're the Cowboys of college football. We have the exact same uniform, and just copy what the Cowboys do with their alternates. They literally have the white helmet. Sometimes they do the white pants, all white uniforms. They do all of that. Just do that, and and it would be saucy. I'm not gonna lie. I do like a good classic uniform. What I was thinking to myself is, if we're going to stick with, this theme of like not wanting to wear alternates, let's throw it back real far. Let's be K-State with the silver, purple jerseys, but let's throw it back to the all black shoes. No purple socks, white socks, black shoes, and just look like we're playing in the 90s again. Why not?
Hey, I love the block K, the big K over the state. That was an awesome logo. I mean, you guys got the cocaine logo going, obviously the Cocaine Willie logo. Got to bring something out of the closet, man. We got enough stuff that we can dial it up a little bit. The cat script I'm a sucker for. There's a way to do this right.
Yeah, no doubt.
So that's
let's get
number 3.
Yeah, and I love all those takeaways, and I'm gonna like basically piggyback off of some of yours and just have my own little twist on it. I'm gonna go with Avery's development, because what the theme of what Avery has done over this, this stretch of the 7 games starting, he's 6-1 as a starter, which is absolutely bananas, beating ranked teams, doing all this stuff. But, there was still the stench of, oh, he's just a running back that plays quarterback, and all this noise. And you hate to see it because you know what he has. We know what we have, but the outside world still hasn't accepted it. And his development to say, I'm not going to run at all. I might be a little banged up. I'm not going to tell you that I'm banged up. I'm going to come to the press conference. I'm going to be smiling. I'm going to be doing all this stuff. I'm going to wink at you and say I'm not hurt at all. And then I'm not going to run, not one time, and drop 300 on West Virginia with 3 tuds. Why not? That is development as a quarterback, and he's making it look almost kind of effortless. He's stepping up in pockets. He's dotting people up like Joe was saying. I mean, that throw that he had to the throw to touchdown was nice. It was a nice 50-burger touchdown. Might have been 60. Not entirely sure. But the pass before that, like Joe was saying, over 2 defenders stepping up in the pocket with some touch where he just catches it and just 2 feet out of bounds. Let's go. That's next level throws right there. Those are beautiful throws. And that's just development that you love to see from Avery. He's becoming all around. And if you let this boy eat, the Big 12 is not ready. I'm telling you, they're just not ready. Okay, now let's get a little bit of negative here. When you get a game that is 45-18, what was the score? 45-18? Could have been a 50 burger. It's the what could have happened, though. The what could have happened with you say, oh, it could have been a 50 burger. No. It's the game's 3-3. West Virginia just kicks a field goal. Dylan Edwards runs a kick return back, and he fumbles. Holy shit. If he doesn't recover that fumble, what could have been to this game? Okay, you say that, that's a lucky break. We go down and score, do all that noise. But we let them drive 2 consecutive drives. What if this game's 17-17 at half? Is it different? I think it's a little bit different if it's 17-17 in this game. Okay, let's say Avery doesn't put his Superman cape on, and he gets sacked on 4th and 5, and he doesn't find Ty Bowman. This game was made with just 3 plays that could have switched the whole momentum of this game, and it just so happened that it went in our favor because we're the better team. The better team find those ways to not let those things snowball and happen, and we let our luck be our skill, basically. Man, this game could have been so much different, but it wasn't, and we blew them out. I love that. And then halftime adjustments. That is my third point. Just like Joe was saying, the adjustments made by Connor Riley to say, "Hey, we're not gonna do this stuff." The halftime adjustments when Joe Clanderman had to get the news eventually in his earpiece, like, "Hey, Garrett Green's not out there, brother. We're just gonna send the house at him. Fuck it. We ride. We're going to make that left-handed quarterback beat. He's gonna have to do it. He's gonna have to show it." And Joe Clanderman said, "Fuck it. We're riding on this boy." And we basically cooked them in the second half. And that's basically the game right there. Joe Clanderman switching those halftime adjustments to say, "Hey, if they're not going to have their horses out there, let's run away from them."
Joe Clanderman, man.
Clandy he's the king of adjustments right now, defensively at least. My three key takeaways. So I've got, this is a big one for me. I think the defensive backs have continued to improve each week. I know we've talked a lot about Avery improving week over week, but the DBs, when you look at the advanced stats and metrics and everything, the K-State passing defense isn't nearly as bad as a lot of folks have made it out to be. And especially last week, that only continued to improve against a West Virginia team that, it's a quarterback that wasn't exactly the starter at the start of the season. It's a guy that people were calling for to try to see maybe we can get a better pocket passer in Nico as opposed to Garrett Green. But I mean, they've given up a lot of yards on average in every game, but when you look at the efficiency metrics, they are efficient on defense. They are holding teams to points and not letting things get out of hand when they could get out of hand. And I think that says a lot about that bend but don't break. I know everybody says it, but the bend but don't break, like this team really does kind of epitomize that bend but don't break mentality that we've come to know and love from a lot of K-State defenses in the past, run by Clanderman or otherwise. We can go back to 2012. There was some bend but don't break that happened back then, and some of those Snyder 2.0 teams really fit that bill. My second one is opposing teams. Joe, you kind of started with this one, but I had these prep before the episode, so I'm going to go with it anyway. But opposing teams can't win by trying to limit the run game. Full stop. I mean, they successfully limited DJ Giddens in the rushing game last week, but because Avery's made strides and continued to improve week over week over week, and he's pounding the stone, if you will, pounding good days on good days and all that good stuff. Coach speak this and that. Ben Newman here and there. Avery has the ability to beat you over the top. He's proven that not just in this game against West Virginia, but he had the touchdown pass to Jace Brown to win the game against Colorado and Boulder. And I still don't feel like we've seen near his ceiling yet. That's the thing. The ceiling is the roof with Avery. He has so much more potential that he can get to. And that makes me very, very excited for the end of this season and then going into next year. And then my last one, this kind of piggybacks a little bit off of what you said, Chef, but I think slow starts in the first half have lended to making adjustments and turning things around in the second half most of the time. Not all of the time, but most of the time. We didn't see it really happen against BYU, but that was a weird, fluky, strange game situation. Colorado, you had that third quarter, first possession of the third quarter, both in Colorado and West Virginia, where you had that. In West Virginia, wasn't as long. The Colorado game, it was half of the third quarter was one K-State possession where they just drain the clock. And if you don't have that possession, you do not win that game against Colorado, because you're limiting the amount of opportunities, the amount of possessions that Shedeur has. And we've made this comparison in the past, but I don't necessarily love the whole time of possession thing so much as I love number of possessions. And when you're going up against a quarterback like Shedeur, who a lot of people have compared to like a Patrick Mahomes light, you have to limit the number of possessions that guy has, because if he has opportunities, he's going to put the ball in the end zone. Like, that's just how it's going to work. So especially when you have playmakers like Colorado has. And then West Virginia, they didn't necessarily have as many of those playmakers, but you still had that soul-sucking third quarter, first possession of the half to just suck the life out of the game, suck the energy out of the stadium. go down, you score a touchdown, and it's at that point, okay, it's what, 24-10 going into West Virginia's next possession. So it's not out of reach, but two score game, that's a lot harder than, okay, 3 and out and you get the ball back to West Virginia. It could be 17-17. So I love those soul sucking third quarter. Like I hope KU wins the toss and elects to receive, or I hope we win the toss and we receive. But I'm just, dude, if we can continue this trend of soul sucking third quarter drives.
Shout out to soul suckings, man. I
Dude.
mean, a good soul sucking
It'll
is
save the
never
day.
a bad thing. Change your life.
Game changing, life changing, momentum changing, dare I say?
All the above. All the above. So coming out of West Virginia, we'll talk about the KU game later. I do want to get to locks though. So Joe, you're gonna get kind of a one-hit wonder type of situation here, filling in for Fireball Matt while he's traveling the Middle East, and I don't know if he can drink beer over there or not, or Fireball.
At the end, you say he's a one-hit wonder, but he's not getting out of this bag treatment. I swear to God, if you're bag boy, I want a picture on Twitter of you with that bag on. God dang
It'll
it.
be there.
You got to open one of your episodes with a bag on your head.
Speaking of, I am the bag boy this week, but we'll go through last week's standings and then we'll get into locks. But I'll start with Chef. So Chef, you were 3-2 on the week last week. You had KU -6.5 versus Houston. You had UCF +13 versus Iowa State, which was an amazing pick. You missed on Tech -6.5 against Baylor in the Butt Bowl.
Ugh.
Your national game, you took Georgia +3.5, proved to be a very good pick. And then Tulane, you had -23.
Oh my God, this shit is not fair, dude. It's
Trent
not
Dilfer.
fair.
Wait, no, it wasn't Trent Dilfer. Who did Tulane? They beat Rice. It was Rice.
Yeah, they beat Rice, but they didn't beat them by enough.
They didn't lose to food.
They didn't lose to food.
Nope.
They didn't lose to food, but they didn't cover either. And good teams win, great teams cover. Matt went 3-2 on the week. He had KU -5. He has a very different line at the end of the week than we had on Tuesday. KU -5 versus Houston, that hit. He missed on Utah -4.5 versus the Horned Frogs. He missed on Texas Tech -6.5 in the Butt Bowl. He hit on Tennessee +3 versus Bama, and he hit on Florida +1.5 versus Kentucky in his
What a pick. What a pick.
SEC sicko game. I went 2-3 on the week, so I'm the bag boy. I hit on Colorado +3.5 at Arizona. I missed on Texas Tech -6.5 versus Baylor. All three of us had Tech versus Baylor in the Butt Bowl. And I missed on Arizona State +2.5 at Cincy, which was very frustrating. Very frustrating.
Very frustrating.
National game, I had the Horns.
Oh,
yeah. I had them -3.5 versus Uga. And my sickos game, I'm going to keep with the trend this week, as you'll see, but I had 1-5 UAB +13.5 as road dogs who were 2-4 USF, the Cows. That one hit. So I'm going to keep riding the hot hand with that one. But Joe, how about you kick us off with your locks for the week as I gracefully
don the bag. Don it.
Secure the bag, brother. That's big time. Yeah, you can bet if I'm the bag boy this week, I'll start next video recorded after the KU reaction video. I'll start with the bag. That's what I'll do. I got 5 of them. You guys got 5 of them? Is it the 5 trend or is it 3?
It's three Big
12s, a
one
natty game,
one sick.
and then a sicko game.
I might be okay. I mean, we'll see if I fit the criteria here. All right, my 3 Big 12 games. Starting off, I feel like this line, somebody out there is going to say it's a trap. I'm not falling for it. Give me BYU +1.5 at UCF.
Ooh.
All right, there's going to be the same amount of fans of that game that there are in this live chat. I feel like it's going to be probably less than like the 38,000 that are going to show up to the game. I'm going to assume it's about I don't know. We could have 38,000 people in here. We might
for sure.
You know,
we got
real,
Joe Tillery on it. I mean,
hey,
no doubt.
You guys, man, the cokeheads are real. I will take BYU +1.5 at UCF. Second game I'm jumping to, kind of a gross game, but I'm going to follow the Fireball Matt approach here, and go Utah -3.5 at Houston.
Oh my
I don't know
God.
who's going to be quarterback this year, whether it's this week, whether it's Zion Chris or it's Donovan Smith. Regardless, I would prefer if it was Donovan Smith, to be honest with you. I will take Utah -3.5. 13 points versus TCU is not going to get it done against anybody. I think that is going to be an adjustment here. New offensive coordinator Cullen plays. I'll take Utah based on the only way to go from here is up approach. Let's see. Oh, I might. All right, no, I got 2 Big 12 games, folks. I got a former Big 12 team in here. Let's see. Let me come back to that one. I'll go to my. Let's see. I'll come back to the Big 12 game in a sec. I will take more of a national game here. I'll take LSU +2.5 versus A&M.
That's a pick.
I
That's
think
a
the offensive
pick.
coordinator for A&M stinks, and I'm going to take all seriousness, I think LSU can get it done. I know Brian Kelly is pretty awful in his own right. I think A&M's a good team, don't get me wrong. I don't know. Something about this game feels like LSU. I know that might be I might be a mark with this one, but I'll take LSU +2.5 there. And I'm going to risk it. I know that one's a little bit dangerous there. As far as the sicko game goes, give me the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors +1.
Oh God.
Versus Nevada. I'll take it. I'll roll with Hawaii +1 versus Nevada.
You just need that last Big 12 game.
All right.
Give
Give
me
me a
one
second.
more. Give me one more Big 12 game.
Oh, I thought I had it written down. I'm insane. Give me give me Colorado -5.5 over Cincinnati. I like
That's
Sorsby
beautiful.
a lot. I really do. I thought I had that one written down earlier. That's why I thought I had 3. I think Colorado's a damn good team, actually. I know that might sound sacrilegious if we say that 6.5 weeks ago, but I think Colorado's a good enough team. Cincinnati's pretty solid. I do think that Scott Satterfield might be more fraudulent in terms of a head coach still. Their schedule has not been incredible. I will take Colorado -5.5. I think they're a touchdown at least better than Cincinnati.
I love all those picks because 2 of the 3 Big 12 picks, I'm riding with you. So I'm gonna go with one of the games you just said, Colorado -5.5. The last few games that Colorado's played, they've been dogs, and they just should not have been. Versus K-State, maybe they shouldn't have been dogs. I mean, we won, but by the skin of our teeth, and then they absolutely drag Arizona Wildcats, back-to-back Wildcat games for them. Now they got a Bearcat. So I'm going -5.5 with Colorado. I'm going BYU +1.5. They're the luckiest team on planet Earth, and they have God on their side. So the Mormon God is going to favor them. So them getting points is crazy in Orlando where nothing is happening right now. So give me that. I mean, UCF, they're heartbroken right now. That game was absolutely brutal. I'm going Arizona -3, though. I think West Virginia having to go 3 time zones over after, getting the hell beat out of them, and then Garrett Green might not play. It sounds like it was a concussion thing. I thought it was his ankles. He was limping around in the first half, but seems to me that it was a concussion that held him out. Maybe Austin Moore on that 4th down play right before halftime scrambled his eggs. So I'm going Arizona -3. Tedero Millen, I'm going to put some money on him over 200. Yes, because their secondary sucks. My national game. Hey, go Army, beat Navy. I've got Notre Dame -12.5. I think the run ends for Navy right now, as much as I don't want it. But the good thing is, I think after this week, I could be way off on this, but after Notre Dame plays Navy, they play Army. I think if my schedule making is right, that they're looking ahead to Army because Navy sucks. They don't really suck. They're undefeated, but I'm going Notre Dame -12.5. I just got a feeling because I don't like Navy. I'm an Army guy. Yes. Now, sicko game. We got 6-0 versus 0-6. I'm not going to let Kennesaw State get me on one of these picks anymore. Liberty, please, for the love of God, beat them by 300 for all I care. -25, Liberty, 6-0. This is nasty work right now. Liberty, the darlings of the G5. They should be. I mean, they just run sack over everybody. Kennesaw State, you're in trouble, buddy. -25. Liberty, let's go.
Well, why didn't you just do the whole thing and have God on your side in every single matchup? You should have taken Baylor and TCU for your Big 12 picks.
Damn,
But
but
then you would have had all these, Christian
wow,
Mormon
I could
Catholic
have
schools
done
on your
that.
side.
I didn't even think about
That's a
that.
fail. That's a fail. I'm
I
sorry.
missed that. Damn.
If you have to wear the bag after that, that's a tough break for that week.
Yeah, God smiting me for not
Yeah.
for not taking all his soldiers right now.
Man.
Damn it, I didn't even notice that. Wow. Okay. That I slipped on that one. I could have had the
Well-
religious week.
Well, you didn't. So
Oh no.
Oh, he's
God
doing
knows.
it.
I'm going with all road dogs this
Let's
week.
go,
The
baby.
Last time I wore the bag, I went all road dogs. Why change? Why not just keep it the same? I'm essentially dead and buried this season anyway. So why not make it spicy? Why not make it fun while we're at it? So all road dogs. I'm starting off, capping it off. Same thing as you guys. BYU +1.5 at UCF. The University of Central Florida Golden Knights are going to lose to the BYU. Give me the Cougars. What they do like that thing. Go Cougars. Oklahoma State 7-point dogs at Baylor. Are you kidding me? Come on. Baylor is trash. Texas Tech almost lost to Abilene Christian at the very beginning of the season at home. Give me a break. Baylor coming off of a win against a Tech team that's been fraudulent since day one. Are you kidding me? There's no reason why they should have 7 points on Mike Gundy's Oklahoma State Cowpokes that are winless in conference play. You are not going to tell me that Mike Gundy isn't going to go in to McLean Stadium in Waco, Texas, and he's not going to have, 1,000 beers before the game, tailgating on the river, on the Brazos River in Waco, Texas. And he's going to go in there and he's going to run Alan Bowman 100 times in that game. And they're going to win on Alan Bowman's legs because he doesn't have an arm, because he sucks. He stinks. But you know who's stinkier? The Baylor Bears. So give me the Cowboys +7 at Baylor. Texas Tech, who was I just saying was fraudulent? I'm going to go with the fraudulent team against an even more fraudulent Sonny Dykes-led TCU Horned Frogs. I'm giving me the Red Raiders +6.5 as road dogs playing at Amon G. Carter Stadium, which is sterile environment. Josh Hoover's a good quarterback, but his coaching sucks. His everything around him sucks. His defense sucks. Everything sucks about the Horned Frogs with the exception of Josh Hoover, who probably has some sort of blackmail on Sonny Dykes. I don't know how that man is still coaching at TCU. He's gonna be riding that national championship loss for a long time. But I'm taking the Red Raiders in the battle of the cactuses, the cactus emojis. Because that all started because a TCU coach tried to get under Texas Tech's skin a little bit, saying they're out in the desert, out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm taking the Red Raiders. National game of the week. Illinois is +21.5 dogs on the road at Oregon. Guys, Oregon's been playing close games basically all season.
I
And-
don't know about this one.
I'm with you, Bob. I'm
Illinois is a
with
top
Lamar.
20 team.
Are they though?
Yeah.
Who have
Brett
they beaten?
Bielema. Brett Bielema. Give me Brett Bielema. I'm taking Brett Bielema all day, every
Oh
day.
my
You know what
god.
changed?
What?
What realistically changed was Glenn Kinley goes from KSNT covering the Wildcats and the Jayhawks, goes to Illinois, starts covering Illinois. KU pitfalls, Illinois skyrockets. It's the Glenn Kinley effect.
It really is.
Wow.
It really is.
We're tagging him in this episode.
Shout out Glenn, man. Good guy.
Facts don't care about your feelings, and Glenn Kinley going to Illinois is a fact. Give me the orange. Wait, no, what the Illini? They're not the orange.
Fighting Illini.
Give me the fighting. I'm surprised that hasn't gotten. They haven't gotten in trouble for that yet.
Oh, they're getting canceled next.
Give me the Fighting Illini +21.5 at the Ducks. My sicko game I've got. So this is my approach the last 3 weeks so far has been, let's find two teams that are like winless or winless adjacent or winless in conference play that are facing each other, because that's what a true sickos matchup is. in the spirit of the sickos, mantra, committee, whatever. I'm going to go with +8 Georgia State on the road at App State. Both are 0-3 in the Sun Belt, and both are 2-4 overall. CFB Insiders, our friend Parker Fleming at Stats of War, has App State as a 2-point favorite at home. Or no, as a 2-point dog, at home. So Georgia State +8, really? I think Georgia State wins that outright.
Whew.
Oh, wow. Wowzers.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. Well, I'm glad. I hate wearing that thing. I need to go 5. I need to go 5-0.
I'll send you guys my picks, and if if I'm ended up as bag boy, let me know, and I'll put the bag out of
we'll let you know.
Matt's got to put one on wherever he's at.
We will let you know.
That's so funny.
All right. Do we want to do Big 12 fantasy starters?
Let's do it.
Okay.
You want me to do mine?
So I'll just do. We may have some new listeners, some new viewers who haven't been paying attention this whole time, or maybe Joe's bringing some folks along who maybe haven't watched the show or listened to the show yet. So just to recap what we do every week. So at the beginning of the season, we all picked, 3 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 2 tight ends, and 1 defense and special teams unit for the season. We've had to make some changes as a result of some injuries or benchings that have happened. And Chef, I might also point out there are 14 weeks in the season. So we're going to have to figure out what we want to do for the last 2 weeks because not all of our players are going to have eligibility. But all of that is to say, we've got our fantasy starters for this week. We've also got our standings for the previous, 8 weeks. We're 8 weeks in at this point. And Chef leads the way, and we lost Joe just now.
Where'd Trilly go? Trilly Donovan.
And he's back, so don't.
My bad, y'all.
No worries. So Chef is currently in the lead with a 500 record in fantasy so far. It's 4-4 overall. He got the L last week.
Barely.
I'm currently in second, just nipping at his ankles with a 3-5 record. And Matt is 1-7. He is I don't think there's, in theory, he could go 500 the rest of the way and go 7-7 and maybe tie us if we end up having a situation where that happens. But I don't know. That guy had some draft choices. So we won't get into that. But for this week, so we already have kind of our bank of players. But because we have our bank of players, there's a lot of talent out there that hasn't been drafted yet or hasn't been picked up. So we're going to let Joe kind of come in and pick who he wants out of this group of people that hasn't been accounted for yet. But just going through the scores from last week. So I got the win with 90.32 points. My leading point getter on the day was Jake Retzloff, BYU himself. And my second leading point getter was DJ Giddens. On a bad day for DJ Giddens, he still had 24 points fantasy-wise for me. So that was amazing. Chef got second place with 88 points, so just less than 2 points behind me.
Oh, my God.
Leading point getter was Devin Neal, Kansas legend, 28.4 points. And second leading point getter was Brennan Presley from Oklahoma State in their stunning matchup against BYU. And then Matt was last, but not by as much as usual.
No,
He had 76 points. Rocco Becht led the way for him with 32.66. Taj Brooks was second with 24.7 points and had a total of 76.46. So he's 1-7. I'm 3-5, and Chef is still in first place with a 4-4 record overall. Chef, do you want to kick us off with your fantasy starters for the week?
Yeah, after the waiver wire midseason extravaganza that we had last week, I have a new quarterback that is taking the replacement of DeQuan Finn because I think DeQuan Finn might be dead. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with him. He might have died. RIP. So I've got Baron Morton starting at quarterback for me this week. Absolute stud. Realistically, looking at his numbers, he's pretty freaking good. It wasn't too solid versus Baylor last week, but I feel strong that he's going to be able to do something for me because realistically, I need him to because I have one more start with Noah Fafita, And I should play him, but I don't want to have to go with Baron Morton for 4 straight weeks. So I'm gonna play Baron Morton this week. And I'm praying that he does something. RJ Harvey, going back to the well for that guy. This is my last start with RJ Harvey. Gotta have something big for him versus BYU, which I would love for him to run for 200 on BYU and, snap their God streak that they've got going right now. Then Jace Brown. It's a big day. He's going to be a Jayhawk killer. I got a feeling. Let's go Jace Brown. Avery, the arm is starting to come through. He's doing his thing. This is going to be my third start with Jace Brown, so I have one more with him. Cole Taylor, very underrated. He looked good versus us. I'm not going to lie. He was wide open on that fourth down play right before half that he should have been hit for a touchdown to tie it up 17-17. Didn't get found because they've got no quarterback. But I got a feeling they're going to use him a lot versus Arizona. And then the bane of my existence, Oklahoma State's defense. What happened to you guys? You failed me. I thought I was eating. I thought I was cooking up something when I picked Oklahoma State's defense at the beginning of the year, but they've literally failed me. I don't think they've gone 1 time, no 2 times, 3 times. At the beginning of the season, they looked good, but realistically, the last few times they've gone -2, 8, 11. They had that was Colorado's defense. But anyway, Oklahoma State's defense, do something this week, please. I'm begging you. That's my fantasy starters.
Joe, who you got?
All right, boys. I'm coming in here looking for a big 1-0 record this week.
1 and done. Let's go.
1 and done. Stay atop the league. Don't need to be at the bottom. I've got one of my favorite quarterbacks that I've enjoyed watching, who has quietly crept in as one of the, second, third, fourth best quarterbacks in the Big 12. You could talk about him as the third best quarterback, or you could bump him lower. I think he's probably top 3 if I had to split hairs here. I'm going to take Cincinnati's Brendan Sorsby. I think Sorsby's been a stud. Those numbers reflect it. 1,700 plus passing yards. He's doing it all as a young quarterback, but off-season hype. I had a couple of buddies at Cincinnati talking about this kid. It's like, hey, if things go right early, this kid hits a stride. Watch out. I'm going to go with Brendan Sorsby. I think he's a stud. And pairing off that, I'm moving into the receivers, and I'm sticking with his big wideout, Xavier Henderson. I think he's a stud. Cincinnati's leading receiver. Try to get the double points cap there with Henderson and Sorsby. I think that could be a big day, Cincinnati versus Colorado. Like I said, I picked them earlier I picked Colorado earlier, so don't know that I expect them to win this football game, but I expect there to be about no less than 893 points scored between the two teams. So I'm going to assume Cincinnati puts up a big day through the air. Sorsby, running back. This one's a little bit trickier, but I think the smartest option I have here is play the matchup, play the stats. I'm going to go with Utah. I know that Utah has been great. Give me Micah Bernard. He's been one of the quieter top 10 running backs in the Big 12 Conference, maybe just outside the top 5. He's a good football player. They're going to need him. I know Houston's not great, but he's going to touch the football a lot. I'll take him. Pairing off with another Utah player, Brant Keithy. Hoping I'm pronouncing that last name right. The second leading tight end in the Big 12 Conference. Not much of an end zone threat, but yards-wise and targets-wise, he's up there. I will take Brant Keithy as my guy at the tight end position. Defense, is there any question here? It's BYU. BYU's defense. I'm going scoring defense. Those boys are putting up more than most of my actual fantasy team in 1 week. I'm going to take BYU. I think they've got a good matchup. UCF might run the football for 250 yards, but they also might score 14 points. I'll take BYU in that one.
Wow, what a team! I mean, that's a team that on day one could compete for
just points. Just
last time
every week.
Yeah, last time I had BYU's defense and special teams, they gave me 27. So, my God.
Yep, got to.
I love it. And this is just a one-time thing for you, so I won't cut you any flack for taking Brant Keithy, who is on my team, but honestly, I'm going to be starting someone else this week, so whatever, it doesn't matter. I'm
proposing a trade, mid-season trade.
Mid-season trade. Who do you want to trade for?
Well, player to offer you. Otherwise, I'm down a starter.
I hear Drake Dabney is available.
Mm.
So my quarterback, I'm going to go with Jake Retzloff, my guy. In his second start for me, I'm going to take Retzloff here in their matchup against, gosh dang it, UCF. And I think that's going to be, I think Retzloff's going to have a big game in that matchup if they're going to cover the 1.5 points that I say they're going to cover according to locks, because they pretty much have to. I'm going to have Dylan Edwards. So this is only the third start I have for Dylan Edwards this season. And the reason for this is Dylan probably would have had a decent game last week, I think, because they, diversify, you kind of throw him in the receiving group. I think Dylan's going to have a big game against KU, specifically against KU, because I think he wants to have a big game against KU. Not that DJ Giddens doesn't, but I feel like we're going to use him more in the passing game. He kind of acts as that, okay, I can use him in the rushing game. I can use him in the passing game a little bit here and there. And KU's defense is just okay when it comes to most defensive statistical categories. So I think Dylan's going to have a nice game. I'm going to go with Tet McMillan from Arizona. This is only this is the third time I've started him. This is the third time I've started Tet McMillan this year, and he's going up against a very, very bad West Virginia pass defense. So I think he's going to have a huge game against West Virginia, despite all of Brent Brennan's flaws that he has as a coach. I'm going to go with Shimon Mateer, Arizona State at tight end in their matchup against, who are they playing? I totally forgot who Arizona State's playing.
Colorado. Oh, no, Arizona State. I had no idea.
Arizona State's off, aren't they?
I can give you your tight end back.
No. They play. Oh, wait. Oh, shoot. They're off.
All right. I've decided.
I have to go with Brant Keithy.
Waiver wire pickup. Give me Will Ancio if he's available. Big day.
Okay. I'll give you Will. You get Will.
I think he's done some good things on the goal line. I think the Kansas boys across the board are going to eat this week.
Oh,
we're doing it
Joe.
live.
Joe, that is beautiful segue, dude. I've never seen somebody so prepared for podcasting when we're literally thrusting you last minute into an unorganized mess that we call Locks episodes. This is so funny that you just said that, because I've got 3 over-unders. Well, 2 over-unders that is perfectly placed for what you just said. So my first over-under that I want to get into, Kansas players represented by Kansas State, offense and defense only. I'm setting it at 14.5. Players to see the field that are from the state of Kansas playing for K-State. I'm setting it at no, I changed my number. That's right. I had a conference with somebody today about this number, and I'm setting at 16.5. Sorry, 16.5.
Somebody at the league office called Chef.
Yeah.
How many Kansas players see time on the field for K-State right now?
Do you want me to give you the insight that I got that I set the number at this for?
Can you set the number at what again?
I set the number at 16.5. Let me give you the reasoning that I set the number at 16.5. From this text that I got, players playing for sure that are from the state of Kansas on Kansas State that will play in this game: Avery, DJ, Hadley Panzer, Sam Heck, Taylor Portier, Dylan, Will Ancio, Ty Bowman, Desmond Purnell, Damian Ililio, Parrish, Garber, Austin Moore, Cody Stufflebean, Toby Osinsami. And then you've got players like Sterling Lockett, Jordan Allen, and Nicondre Steiger. And then you have also Wesley Fair and LaJames White, who hasn't played really all season because of injury. But those are all Kansas players. That is roughly around 20 that could get in there in case of a blowout. But that's 16.5 I'm setting the number at. And Bo Palmer is also a Kansas kid, but he is dead.
I'm jumping in on the over. I'm jumping on the over. I also think there's a chance that a couple more O-line kids from the state of Kansas might pop in. You know, you've got a banged up Carver Willis. He's back in practice today, it sounded like. So you don't – I mean, I'm sure he's going to be back, but you don't know fully. Sounded like Hadley Panzer was banged up. I think if there's one guy that is going to be playing in the KU K-State Sunflower Showdown, go ahead and give me Panzer to play. But I think you're going to get a couple of guys in the linebacker room, a couple of guys in the secondary that we don't maybe necessarily see as often because they're state of Kansas kids getting out there, getting after it. This game means so much. Also, the loss of Bo Palmer on special teams. You're going to see some guys on the special teams unit that may have to step up in a couple of different absences. I will take the over on 16.5.
And just to let you guys know, I will be reviewing the game play by play to make sure that everybody that is from Kansas, and I will be counting snaps. So not necessarily counting snaps, just to make sure that they're on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm taking the over, by the way. I'm taking the over at 16.5. So me and Joe are over.
I want to go over, but I feel like I have to go under just to make things spicy.
I like spice.
Okay.
I like spice.
I don't think that's going to happen, but you kind of forced my hand with it. So
you need spice to make the meal good.
Okay. Well, even if you would have said over, if I would have let you go second, I was going to take over anyway. We could have all been triple O's. My next one. Look, this is for both Kansas and Kansas State. Local Kansas players to score touchdowns. So this is not Avery can't throw one. He has to get in the end zone rushing. And so Kansas local players that play for the state of Kansas, obviously Casey, I think that's it, Jared Casey and Devin Neal. So I'm setting that Kansas players to score touchdowns at 4.5.
You know, my brain went right to 3.5, and I was like, slam me on the over. 4.5 gets tricky. I think I don't want to give away my spoiler too early. I don't think Kansas is going to find the end zone all that much. I think they will. I don't think state of Kansas players will score much. I think you're probably looking at one on that offensive side of the ball. I don't see Casey getting in the end zone unless it's some weird fullback, split out. They use him as a tight end sometimes in some weird different flip arounds. But, I mean, you've played against those guys enough to know, hey, 47's a guy to watch. As for K-State, I kind of see at least 3 for sure. I'm going to go barely over. I think 5 state of Kansas players score a touchdown, and I'll break it down for you.
Okay.
I'm going to take DJ Giddens. I think DJ gets in the end zone.
Yeah.
I think we're about to unleash the side of DJ Giddens that's hungry for the end zone, not just to do all the dirty work, DJ. We're getting in there every time. I think Avery scores. Avery scores this game. I don't buy the idea that – I mean, I know that he was a little bit banged up in this West Virginia game, so you do have to protect him a little bit. I think this staff is going to use whatever they need to do to win the game. KU's defense isn't going to stop many people, but the second they cloud the lane trying to stop DJs, trying to stop Dylan Edwards, I think Avery's going to be moving. So I will take quarterback run. I'm going to take Ancio to score a touchdown. I think he keeps that streak going. I think the tight end plays right there. Obviously, we love our tight ends. And then I might give Dylan Edwards one. I think there's going to be some type of special teams thing. I don't think it'll be on offense, actually. I think it's going to be a special teams play. KU special teams unit notoriously has not been it. And these games have had a lot of that. Obviously, Phillip Brooks baptizing KU's punter a couple years ago. I will take a special teams touchdown for K-State Nation.
And so you are taking the over at 4.5.
I'm hopping on the over.
So that was 4 K-State players, but you think
I think
nobody
Devin Neal gets to the end zone.
Okay, Devin. Okay.
Yep. He's 72 yards away from their all-time
73,
leading.
I think, is what our boy BT B Turner 23 on Twitter in our previous episode that just dropped. He said he was 73 or 74 yards away, and he thinks he gets it versus K-State. So that's interesting. I'm going to take the under. I don't think Dylan gets in the end zone, and I don't think Avery's running. And then you're hoping for the one Kansas tight end, which is Will Ancio, to get in, because then you're looking at DJ. We don't have any receivers. Maybe Ty Bowman. I don't know.
Sterling Lockett finds the end zone.
Maybe Sterling Lockett finally finds his way into the end zone. But I think Devin Neal does get in, but I've only got it at 3 at the most.
This is a great question. I'm probably going to go under.
Okay.
Because
perfect line, by the way.
It is. This is a perfect line. I think part of it is Jace Brown's really coming on. Like, these wide receivers are starting to come on a little bit. if we're going to be passing the ball, we're going to see more from the wide receivers. And when we look at that room, it's basically like Sterling Lockett from Kansas, and that's about it, right?
Ty
You've got
Bowman?
Ty Bowman. Ty had a good game last game.
He's
He
sweet
had
to get him
the first catch of the game last game, right?
Yep.
So I'm gonna shy on the under. I hope it's over.
Yeah,
And I hope it's on our side, not like Devin Neal running all over us. But
Right.
yeah, I'm gonna go under.
And then this one, I was scrambling because I feel like I've done like the stats of like who sacks over under, carries over under. I wanted to get a little funny, and this one's a total crapshoot. Over under K-State's halftime lead. I set it at 6.5 points.
Under.
We've been notoriously close in a lot of halftime scores. I think we had a 7-point lead at Colorado. We had how much we were
7
on
at
Oklahoma State?
I think it was 4, maybe. I think it was
4 at Oklahoma State. We had 7 at West Virginia, and then at Arizona we were only up 7. So I set the line at 6.5. It looks like Bob is a clear under for his.
Under.
I like it. I like it.
You can't argue with the fact that I feel like every single one of these games is close to start the first half and going into the locker room. Like, I just in a game where KU is going to be as juiced up as they possibly can be this season, it doesn't matter what adjustments you make in the second half when you're going into the first half locker room. It just doesn't matter. I think it's going to be under.
I'm going to take the over. I'm contradicting myself because I think it could be a really, really close game, but I just want to be a little different than you. I think it's going to be fun to say we have a 10-point lead.
I still think we're going to win by 2 scores, and I have a higher margin of victory than you have. I think it's going to be 3 or 4 points going into the locker room.
All right, I'll jump off the ledge. We're going over. It's going I'm telling you now, boys. KU's going to be juiced. No one's doubting that. I know a scary sight for Jalen Daniels. I mean, the guy can play football. It's been repressed this season, but him having energy, him having that pissed off chip on his shoulder, they're going to get in the game. I mean, they're going to play, whether it's 2 drives or 3 drives, they're going to be in the game for a little bit. I just think that a pissed off Avery Johnson might be the most scary thing I could imagine as a defensive coordinator right now. And I know we talk about passing it through the air and slinging it. I truly do not think that anyone on KU's defense is going to keep DJ Giddens from just going sideline to sideline, end zone to end zone. That dude can move. And I think DJ is going to have, 2 bills in this game. I can see DJ going 2 bills, 2 touchdowns in this game to the point where it is kind of like one of those vintage early or late 2000s type Kansas State win. Not as, say it's 57-9 or whatever, but I think we're going to be up by more than 7.5 because I know that these guys are going to be pissed off, ready to go, and firing on all cylinders.
I love it. I love it. Those were realistically my best over-unders I've ever crafted up.
Those are great.
Those are great.
And if you're listening,
keep bringing it every week because that's one of my favorite segments. I think those are great over-unders for sure.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this on podcast, you're watching this on YouTube.
Yeah. Reply.
Write it in the comments. Write what you're thinking on these over-unders. Reach us on Twitter. Give us your insight on what you think these over-unders. We want more participants.
Yeah, we got a handful of replies last week coming into the West Virginia matchup, and I thought they were all pretty good. Pretty good thoughts on, and add your commentary. Like, we want to hear why you want to justify the overs or the unders on the 16.5 Kansas players playing for K-State, the 4.5 local Kansas players scoring touchdowns for either team, or the over under 6.5 KSU point lead going into the locker room at halftime. Parting shots. Let's do final thoughts going into this matchup against KU, and I'll maybe kick it off. So this is fifth. We've got 15 straight, and this is 122nd matchup going for the Sunflower Showdown, with the exception of that 1910 game where KU didn't want any smoke. There was eligibility stuff, and there was also the 1980 matchup where they forfeited, but they counted as not a game that happened, and we counted as a win. there's some weird stuff that goes on with that whole thing. But this game means a lot for me. I know I've talked about it ad nauseum on Bosco's Boys like 3 years ago when the live show was still a thing. I've got family that you go 6 generations of my family goes back in the state of Kansas, and part of that family is KU, but primarily that entire family is K-State. And we've had to deal with the KU family members constantly like yapping about, well, KU's going to be pretty good this year, or like, oh, wait for basketball season, all this other stuff. And it's like, dude, it's so annoying, and I get so over it so quickly. But this game means a lot to me. I've got a lot of friends. I went to Cape Mount Carmel and Wichita. Out of my graduating class, I would say it was probably 70-30 KU to K-State as far as like your fandom is concerned. And not everybody was a fan of KU or K-State, but of the fans of KU or K-State, it was probably 70-30 split. Like I've always been in the minority until I went to K-State and was in the majority. And ever since leaving K-State, I lived in Austin, Texas. I lived in Denver, Colorado. I'm back in the minority again. So like I'm dealing with Texas fans. I'm dealing with Colorado fans. I'm dealing with CSU fans, A&M fans, like you name it. I've dealt with it. I have to deal with it. But this game means more to me than any other game on the schedule. I want to get that 16th win in a row, and I want to keep closing the gap on that all-time record, because that's the only thing that they can reference as far as football prowess, even though most of those wins happened prior to any of them being born. And all of the wins have happened in like a 23-5 record in my lifetime or something like that. It's more than that because I'm 31, but I think we've only lost to KU like 5 times in my lifetime. So this game is super important to me. I think Braden had a lot of very good points, and I agree with him that this is the best 2-5 team in the country. When you look at their record, I mean, we were saying the same thing about Texas Tech last year going into that matchup too. Like that was the best 1-3 team in the country or whatever that was before we had the Avery Johnson 5-touchdown game too. But the record isn't indicative of the talent on the team. It's not indicative of how much of a fight they're going to put up in this matchup. It's just, and it's a rivalry game. It's going to be scrappy. There are going to be moments where, people are going to be jawing at each other. You're going to have guys from Lawrence who play for K-State who are going to be jawing at the KU players. And it's always going to be a scrappy matchup. But all of that is to say, I do think on paper, this is at least a 2-touchdown victory for the Cats on paper. But it is a rivalry game. It has all those elements. You've got the 15 straight. You've got, there's a lot going into it for KU, where the one thing that they may have to play for this season, they've got 5 losses. So they're not out of bowl contention. And even if they drop this game, they're still in bowl contention, technically. But the one other thing that they have to play for this year is screwing up their rival and screwing up their chances to play in a Big 12 championship game, because you can look at the stats now of percentage chance to make the Big 12 title game. If K-State wins out, they're in. That's done, clear cut, decided. But if K-State drops this game to KU, I mean, you're having to play the what if card again, and you're having to look at all the tiebreakers, and you're having to it's going to be messy, and it's not going to be fun for us. And they know that, and they want to ruin that for us. So, I don't know. That was just a little bit of my unfiltered thoughts and soapbox on the KU matchup. But I mean, game wise, schematically, what kind of stuff are you guys looking for? What do you think is going to be the keys to victory? All that good stuff.
Yeah, you laid it out perfectly on what the rivalry means to a lot of us. And, like you said, being in the minority, I'm out here on an island as the lone K-State fan. There's not one within sight that usually is around. So that me trying to explain what I feel about this rivalry to somebody, they have Ohio State, Michigan out here. They have all this noise. Me trying to explain this is it means a lot to me, just being from that area and then having to, watch from afar. It means a lot to me because I want to experience the joy for all the locals that are there, that are living in that rivalry every day. But realistically, just on the field, because that's where you laid it out perfectly. Nobody needs to say any more really about it. But schematically on the field, Can we get after Jalen Daniels? Can we put the pressure on him to have to do it with his arm? Has he knocked all the rust off? Because that's really what his coach said. That's why he's emerging as the quarterback that we've seen the last few games, is that he finally got the rust knocked off. Can we put the rust back on? How about that? I think we can. I think our defense is looking very solid. We're going to have a battle with Devin Neal, but I think the physicality and us being at home is a really, really big deal. The offense will feel more comfortable. They won't have anybody against them. They'll be able to execute flawlessly, because that's what we've been saying on this last road trip that we're 2-0 on, by the way.
Yeah.
That everybody's against us. The offense has to play perfectly to even be in close games versus Colorado. Now we're at home. We just blew out Oklahoma State last time we were at home. Let's repeat that at night on ESPN2. Not entirely sure. I think so. Let's get it done, boys. Fuck KU.
I love it. I love it. I think add a third guy to the isolation crew now that I'm up in Minnesota. There's been a couple of K-State fans. You don't really run into them at the grocery store or anything, but through Twitter and socials, you'll find some people similar to Bob in like the Austin area. You'll get some K-State fans that have moved down to that area. But man, this is such a massive game. And I think the thing I've noticed about my fandom about K-State this season is I feel like that Gordon Ramsay meme where he's looking at the kid on the MasterChef Junior, whichever show that is, and he's saying, "Oh, precious, all beautiful, all gorgeous, you're okay." That's how I feel about with Avery Johnson and this team. I want everything to be so perfect because I see the future. Not I see the future, but you see how high the ceiling is. You see how incredible everything ahead of you is. And a lot of that comes back to like last season. I'm looking at Will Howard and the team after they've struggled, they've had their moments, and I don't feel the same like, hey, this team can be truly, truly special. This team is kind of like, we're a great football team, but I don't think we're all there yet. Kansas State in this KU game, it is no secret to me that the headlines read drastically different, obviously, for KU than they do for K-State. K-State wins this game, streak extends to 16, whatever the case is. You're still in contention. You survived a tough rivalry game because we all know the physicality is going to be there from both sides. For KU, this is a game that is truly like, hey, we can beat anybody in the country. I know we're 2-5, but we have the talent, we have the dudes, and the state of Kansas and blah, blah, blah. There are so many more flashing lights involved if Kansas wins this game versus if K-State wins this game. And I think it's the test where Avery Johnson knows that it's not all going to be, you're not always going to be the underdog. At some point in your career, you are so talented and this team around you is so good that you guys are going to be the favorite in every game you play. Realistically, except for the Iowa State game, you're going to be favored on the way out. And maybe even that game, it's going to be less than a field goal if I take a guess. This is going to be not a legacy game because I don't want to make it sound like that when it's a 6-1 team versus a 2-5 team, but this is going to be your adversity check once again. Your midway station, you beat Colorado, you beat this team, you beat this team. How do you handle with more adversity in your face? I think Bob laid it out perfectly, talking about what this game matters to the people and the community and everybody in it. Like, it matters to talk trash to your rival. It matters to give your buddies a hard time. It matters to do this and that. The thing that I always come back to, and this is maybe unfair because I don't know what's going on in either locker room, to be honest, but for the K-State side, there was a good question from Fitz. He asked Chris Kleiman this week at the press conference, and he said, hey, you've won 15 of these things in a row. What do you use for motivation? And Chris Kleiman goes, I would never talk to my team about that, and I never will. I won't use that as motivation. This is a good football team. We have to win one game. Coach speak, totally get it. I have a feeling the seniors in that locker room for KU are looking at this like, we have to do something that hasn't been done in 15 years. We have to do it this way. And that's their motivation. Once again, when you're motivated, you're excited, you're energetic, everything changes when you get punched in the mouth. At some point, that record of 2-5 comes back to bite you if you go down 14 early. When you're getting run through by DJ Giddens in the huddle. All this stuff is compounding into a bigger moment. I think Kansas State's going to be the team that emerges because at some point you got to realize the destiny and the path you're on. And I think Kansas State understands, hey, we're going to this title game if we play our own destiny. If we play the right way, this is how it starts. You got to beat what's across from you. You got to beat KU to advance.
I love it. I love it. You got me all fired up now. Can you give me a pregame speech every week before I go into work?
Dude, anytime.
I can't get fired up for that shit.
4 is going to be big.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah. I'm all fired up now. But any final thoughts about KU, about Sunflower Showdown, or about anything else that we chatted about today before we drop?
I just love when Joe gets on here. He brings the energy for sure. Fireball Matt, you gotta fill some shoes, brother. I'm just saying.
He's coming back, man. We need him back.
Maybe.
I think he'll be back. I don't think it's next week, if I remember right.
I'm wondering
So,
if he's a figment.
Joe,
of
we
my
may need to have you
imagination.
back on next week.
At this point, I'm wondering if I've never been in the same room with the guy. I don't know if he's a figment of my imagination. If I imagined it the whole time, I'm just making up a
I
third,
mean,
third co-host.
I've taken a fireball shot with him once, so I know he's real.
That'll validate it. Man,
That was
Speaking of,
validated.
I do have to say, Chef, we didn't talk about this last week, but the Colorado game weekend, Matt was out here in Boulder. Chef, you photoshopped yourself into a photo of Matt and I, and we got some people like hook, line, and sinker with that.
Yeah, we did. I love a good Photoshop. I will pay for all the mobile Photoshop apps that I can. I'm a sucker for that. But if I could fool everybody every once in a while, it makes my day. Really,
That's
it
awesome.
does.
It was great. It was great. Well, Joe, we appreciate having you on as always. We'll give you the final word. Feel free to plug whatever you've got going on and let the people know where they can find you.
For sure. Fellas, I'm over at Tillery_Joe on Twitter. You just inverse the first name, last names. YouTube, same thing, Joe Tillery. You can find me talking all about the Cats. It's basketball, it's football. I want to say, man, I'm so proud of you guys for all the work you guys have done, man. I've been crushing some Cocaine Willie content lately. Shout out to the guys from West Virginia. They're awesome dudes.
Ryan and Rush.
Ryan and Rush, man. Good dudes. Watch that episode. I'm proud to see you guys every week having awesome interviews and awesome guests. It's something I set my clock by. It's always fun to come join with you guys. So thank you guys for having me.
And it's always great to have you. You're doing great stuff over on your channel too. I mean, pumping out more K-State content than people can even probably consume, which is great. Like, we need that. We need more people doing what you're doing. So you're a trailblazer as well, and definitely set the trend of K-State YouTubers going on. So
future voice of the Wildcats.
Could be.
Man.
Hey, I'm saying, man, Wyatt is my guy, man. I'm trying to get that. I talked to him a little bit at media days here for football in Las Vegas. Caught up.
Hell yeah.
Conveniently talked about the Royals. It was really awesome. I walked up to him and he's watching Salvador Perez go yard in the game, which is pretty sweet. But man, Wyatt's electric. If there's ever an opportunity to jump in there, man, sign me up.
Absolutely. I'm just glad that he got to call the game at Yankee Stadium, that he got to do
so
in
cool.
July or August for that road trip.
So I talked about him, and I talked about him about that moment. Actually, I was like, dude, that is such a cool. And he's like, Wyatt's got the voice. He's like, I was just a little kid, man. It was such a great moment. And it was just super ecstatic. And it's like, this dude is the guy you want calling games, the guy you want talking sports. It's like, sometimes in journalism and media and all this, and you guys know this, but you lose a little bit of like, hey, I love this team. And I live with this team. I drink beer for this team. I cry in my bed after losses for this team. And it's pretty incredible to see people like Wyatt in those positions, because he's definitely one of the ones. You guys are as well, man. It's been awesome to see everybody be as passionate as they are.
Yeah, and Wyatt, he's a K-Stater through and through too. Like, went to K-State, covers the team, does everything that he does for K-State. You couldn't ask for a better voice of the Wildcats.
You guys got to get Wyatt on Cocaine Willie, man. That's the episode right there, man.
That'll be the day.
As an official university employee, I don't think he's allowed to come on the show, but hey.
But he'd enjoy it. He'd get a kick out of it for sure.
Absolutely. Well, maybe I'll try to get Mitch Holtis on or something instead. I'll really shoot for the moon there.
That's right.
See if I don't know. It's not going to happen, but hey, guy can dream, right?
That's right.
But that's going to do it for us today. Once again, shout out to our sponsors, Pat's Beef Jerky and Annie Mae's Parlor. Remember to visit patsbeefjerky.com and use the promo code CATS at checkout for 10% off of your next order. Additionally, we are the K-State representative on the College Huddle. Oh, I didn't shout out Annie Mae's Parlor. Annie Mae's Parlor. They've been in business for 50 years. Check them out at www.anniemays.com for a full list of their upcoming events. And we're the K-State rep on the College Huddle that Chef is pointing at the logo for right now, which is the largest community of fan-driven content in the nation. Check them out at thecollegehuddle.com. Follow them on social media at College Huddle. Last but not least, you can follow our show at Cocaine Willie on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, or Instagram, or you can follow us individually. I'm at Bob Trollsby. Chef is at Chef Andre Napier. Fireball Matt is somewhere on a random continent of this planet, and Joe Tillery is at Tillery_Joe. Chef.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug, baby.
We are all coke and no joke. Wildcat country.
Let's freaking rock.